back again. Seems like it's been a minute because it has. It's been a couple of months since I've recorded a video here, but I will have to say Locker Room Media is finally back, and I could not be any happier. Super sorry for the inconvenience that we didn't post or do anything. Life got busy, but I feel like it's time to bring this thing back because I love doing it. And what a way to start it off, as football season is literally tomorrow, with the NFL 2022 record predictions. We're going to start here, and we're going to bring it out. For the first division, it's going to be on the AFC North. This division is more so called the hood of the NFL, with justified, as George Pickens is a new receiver as the Steelers. Anything can happen in this division. Starting off with the number one team, we're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to kind of make it short and sweet, but honestly, I think the Ravens are one of the most underrated teams going into this year, and I think they win the division with very, very slim right in front of the Bengals. They finish out as the 3 seed in the playoffs as they go 12-5 and 4-2 in the division. I think this Ravens team's good. I feel like they sweep the Browns easily with no problem. I feel like every single person will. And then I also think that they're going to sweep the Steelers and lose to the Bengals both times. That meaning they only sweep, and then they get swept. The Bengals now, our old Super Bowl team here, they're going to go 11-6 this year. Don't get me wrong. I feel like they improved their offensive line a lot since last year, but in my opinion, it won't matter. I feel like the Bengals got lucky last year throughout the playoffs. They definitely did get lucky against the Chiefs as they beat, I guess you say, a withered down team after they just played an absolute amazing game against Buffalo, as we'll get into that later. I just think the Bengals go 11-6. They're going to finish right under the Ravens, but they're still going to get into the playoffs as a 6 seed. Steelers now, they're going to take a big drop off. I know Big Ben wouldn't throw it deep. You can say anything about it. They don't know what they're doing with their quarterback situation. As of this weekend, they are starting with Mitch Trubisky, but I feel like that will change after a little bit. They go 8-9 on the years. I feel like Kenny Pickett will pick up in about mid-season. The Browns, I don't know about this team. I don't think they win a single division game, and I only think that they win 3 games. I don't think they win a game up until they play the Texans in week 13 when Deshaun Watson comes back, which I hope he never does. But that's a different topic for a different story. That's a different story. Another day. Doesn't matter. I think the Browns only win 3 games. Their 3 wins are going to be against the Texans, the Saints in week 16, and then finally week 17 against the Commanders. But that's enough to talk about the NFC North. Not NFC, AFC North. Let's go on to the AFC South now. I feel like the Colts, in my opinion, this is one of the worst divisions in football due to the fact of there's no true quarterback one other than Trevor Lawrence, but we really didn't get to see a lot of them last year. I feel like the Colts are going to win this division with ease. Jonathan Taylor's best running back in the NFL, in my opinion, right in front of the King, Derrick Henry. They win 10 games this year, as it's going to be tough, but I feel like Matt Ryan will go back to a little bit of his Matty Ice days. Michael Pittman and him are definitely going to be a great duo together. In the passing game, they work the play action. That's just going to be open. I hope they prove me wrong. I really, really like the Colts this year. I think they go into the season, into the playoffs as a 4th seed, winning the AFC South. Second in the division, I have the Tennessee Titans going 7-10. They're looking to get rid of Ryan Tannehill and get off that page of this chapter, and they're looking to go to Malik Willis, but I don't know how Malik Willis is going to be in the NFL. The offensive line is the most mid thing I've ever seen in my life, and the defense just really isn't good. I think they go 2-4 in the division as they finish above the Jacksonville Jaguars, as I feel like they go 4-13 this year. Trevor Lawrence is a great player. I feel like he's going to be a decent quarterback in the NFL, but it has to be around a supporting cast. And when you're telling me that you have wide receivers as Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones, I don't think you're going to get a lot done, especially for a rookie, a second-year QB that didn't prove much. I think they go 4-13 in the year. Doug Pearson was the right choice. They just need to be better on defense. And I honestly think that Trayvon Walker will be the biggest bust of all time. I don't like him at all. He has a decently high ceiling, but his floor is so low. I would have never taken a shot on him. If I was Jacksonville, I would have went with Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson. They went Trayvon Walker, though. That's why they finished at 4-13. Finally, I have the Houston Texans finishing 3-14. Everybody says that this team can win football games. This team can be good on the offensive side of the ball with Davis Mills. Everybody says this team can put up a competition. And I only agree with one of those statements, and that's putting up a competition. This team, I feel like, is one of the worst in the league, and I don't want them to be. I really want them to succeed, but they just have zero talent on that roster. And like you seen last year with the Detroit Lions, we'll get onto that in a little bit. If you don't have talent on the roster, you can compete from whistle to whistle. You won't be able to win games just due to the fact of you don't have that talent. And they're playing a division with the Colts and the Titans, who I feel like are two pretty good teams, finishing out 10-7, 7-10. It's just going to be a tough year for the Texans. I think next year they'll probably go after a QB, and if they get a starting QB and get a half decent offensive line, I feel like Damian Pierce and whoever the QB is next year, whether that be CJ Stroud, whether that be Anthony Richardson, whether that be Bryce Young, if he wins another Heisman, I think any of that can happen. But I think the Texans finish fine in the division. Now onto the AFC West. This, in my opinion, is the best division of football that we've seen in a very long time. You have four, in my opinion, MVP candidates in this division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson. I was going to say four top-tier wide receivers, but I don't know if the Chiefs have one. I don't think that's going to matter, though, due to the fact that they go 15-2. Patrick Mahomes is going to show everybody why he got that 10-year contract. He's going to show everybody why he is the best quarterback in the NFL, right above Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is a show year this year. The passing game is going to work efficiently. Travis Kelce is going to get more targets. I feel like Mecole Hardman is going to be considered a top 30 wide receiver after this year. And this team's going to do good things. They go 15-2, and they're the number one seed by one game in the AFC. The Chargers finish out 3-14. Justin Herbert is my MVP frontrunner. I feel like this Chargers team is going to do very, very well. They have a consistently good defense now, adding Khalil Mack. Him and Joey Bosa are going to be a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the football. Offensive line should be scared, terrified, whatever word you want to use. That's what they're going to be bringing to the Sunday table. The offense, it's going to look pretty good. You got Keenan Allen, who's an all-star wide receiver. You also have Mike Williams, who got a lot of interest in free agency last year. Went right back to the Chargers on a 3-year deal. You also have Austin Eckler, who is a fantasy football star. He's a receiving back, a running back, whatever you want to say about him. That's Austin Eckler. Moving on to the Raiders now. In the offseason, they traded for arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, Devontae Adams, partnered him back with his college buddy, Derek Carr. Like I said, this guy's an MVP favorite for me. I really like him in the MVP race. That's why they finish 11-6. This passing offense is going to take a huge leap. They just, in my opinion, need to get a more consistent defense. But I feel like this offense is going to carry them just like how the Packers offense has carried them for so many years to get into the playoffs. Finally, I don't want to put the Broncos at 7-10. I want to put them also at 11-6 or 10-7. It's just focusing on, I think, every single one of their division members in the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders are just better than them. They don't have the defensive presence of Von Miller anymore. They only have Justin Simmons on defense. They have a couple, I think Bradley Chubb's still there. So they got some guys on defense. Other than that, their offense is all-stars. They have at quarterback Russell Wilson, who was also acquired in the offseason. They also have a guy named Cortland Sutton, who in my opinion is going to emerge as the top 15 wide receiver this year due to Russell Wilson. Cortland Sutton has never had a quarterback other than Drew Lock and I think Brock. They had so many quarterbacks after Peyton Manning, and I don't think he had a good one because he didn't. They finally gets one. Jerry Jeudy's going to emerge as a great star, but sadly, the Broncos, just due to the fact of how hard the schedule is and playing in a division like this, they go 7-10. Now we're going to talk about the AFC East. Now, a little bit of shocker as the Patriots finish third, first time for that in a while. You have the Bills going 14-3. Josh Allen is my second guy who I think is going to win the MVP, right behind Justin Herbert. This guy's good. This team's just good. This is the most balanced football team I've ever seen in my life. Defensive stars, Micah Hyde. You have Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, Von Miller. I can go on and on. The offense has got stars. Stephon Diggs, the newly added running back James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother. And you also have the all-star quarterback in Josh Allen. I feel like Dawson Knox is a top 10 tight end, and nobody really talks about him just due to the fact he's on the Bills, and he's not considered as a top tight end. He's not the best player on the team. You look at the Niners, George Kittle's easily the best player on that football team. You look at the Chiefs, Travis Kelce is the second best player on the football team. Darren Waller, he was the best player on the Raiders team. You look at all these guys, they're the better players. Dawson Knox doesn't get talked about enough. Now we go into the Dolphins. For a while here, I was really thinking that the Dolphins were just going to absolutely implode. It's like the best comparison I had is you're playing Madden and you throw a bunch of people on a team and there aren't a scheme fit, and it just doesn't work. And I thought that was going to happen for a minute, but the more I seen Tua throw the ball a little bit more, his connection with Tyreek Hill, I've started to like this team a little bit more. That's why I put them at 10-7, not more, not less. They go 3-3 in the division, split with everybody. And I don't know. I don't have much to talk about the Dolphins other than they're either going to be this or they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Like I said, they're going to implode. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Another team that's very interesting and is going to be interesting to see this year is the Patriots. They don't have an offense coordinator named. Bill Belichick has put in, I think, 3 guys now, including, how do I put this in the nicest way possible, in the most kid-friendly way possible? A person that I hate. And I don't hate people. Hate's a strong word. But Matt Patricia, I don't like that guy at all. He ruined the Detroit Lions. He ruined 3 years of us just because he wanted to be at the Patriot way. And he is supposedly calling plays for this Patriots team. He was supposedly a defense guru. Don't know why he's going to be calling offensive plays. For that reason, Mac Jones ain't going to progress. None of their team is going to progress. And I haven't even heard of an all-star wide receiver on that team that Mac Jones can throw to. I was very high on him last year. I don't think I can be for a year 2 because we didn't see any improvement on that Patriots offense or defense. They lost J.C. Jackson. Oh, yeah, by the way, talking about the Chargers, I'm pretty sure they got pretty good, like I said, pretty good defense. But the Patriots, they go 6-11 on this year. Finishing last in the division, I have the New York Jets going 5-12. I like this team. I don't think Zach Wilson's going to be back for a minute, though. That's the biggest problem I have. Mekhi Becton, they lost him throughout the whole season. That's going to be really tough on them. They have Corey Davis now, I guess. That's pretty good. Their defense just doesn't show it. They have Quinton Williams, and I feel like that's it. Like, they still have C.J. Mosley on the team, and I don't know how I feel about that. Marcus May's gone. I think. Don't fully put that on my name yet. I think that he's gone. I don't know where else he would have signed, though. I don't know. Jets finished last in the division 5-12, and now we're going to move on to the NFC North. And I know you guys are looking at super sorry on the mistake in the Vikings. We don't really need to talk about that because there's not 18 games. But talking about the Packers, I feel like they finished number 1 in the division. Aaron Rodgers is just that guy. I feel like he's still going to be on MVP for him, even though, he's taking psychedelics, and that's, like I said, another story for another day. He doesn't have a number 1 wide receiver. They have 2 rookie wide receivers as the number 1 and 2. Randall Cobb as a 3. Robert Tonyan as the tight end. But what I really think is going to pull them away with the division win this year is going to be that defense and that rushing. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are arguably the best running back duo in the league, maybe with a conversation with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. You also have you have a couple of teams that have a 1-2 punch at running back, and it's just very hard to stop. The Panthers even have Chuba Hubbard and Christian McCaffrey. Vikings, Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook. Lions, I guess you can consider Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift a 1-2 punch. But like I was saying, they're one of the biggest 1-2 punches in the running back committee in the NFL. The defense looks really good on paper with the defensive backs. That defensive line just needs pressure. Linebacker needs a little bit more help. So I don't think they're going to go to Packer form and finish 3-4, 13-4 my fault, or 14-3. I still feel like they get the division win here, though. Moving on to the Detroit Lions. As many of you know, I am a hardcore, diehard Detroit Lions fan. And after seeing Hard Knocks, after looking at this team through thick and thin, after seeing what they added, after seeing last year, after seeing the moves in the offseason, I will confidently say this team is going to shock the world. And you can argue me same old Lions any day of the week. But what this team did in the offseason is what many teams did not. And what they are building here is what many teams are not. I feel like the Detroit Lions are on the come up, and they are going to dominate the league in 2 years. And it's all because of a man called Dan Campbell and an offense coordinator called Ben Johnson and a defense coordinator called Aaron Glenn. Those 3 guys are leading this team, and every single coach below them. Watch Hard Knocks last night. People had all these players that got cut, even though they're getting cut. Personally, I'd be pretty pissed if I was. I'm on the team, and you're telling me that I got to leave just because I'm bad. Man, I'd be pretty pissed. Every single player on that Hard Knocks who left had nothing but great things to say about this organization. Looking at this team and what they got in the offseason, they went out and got Jameson Williams. They traded up. They got the best player in the draft in Aiden Hutchinson. When I'm telling you right now, this Sunday, that place is going to blow the roof off of Ford Field when Aiden Hutchinson gets his first sack. You go out and you pick up a guy in the 6th round named Malcolm Rodriguez, who, in my opinion, is going to be a top 20 linebacker in the league this year. He's just an absolute beast. He loves to hit. You don't see many linebackers like that anymore days. You put receivers around Jared Goff. You have a top 5 line in the league. You have hopefully a top 20 defensive line in the league too. It's all one of the trenches, and that's where Brad Holmes is putting it. 10-7 on the record this year. Lions finished 2, get a playoff spot at seed 7. Spot 3, this should be 10-7 also. The Vikings finished 3rd in the division. Yes, they have a new head coach. Yes, they look really promising. But I don't know. This team doesn't excite me as they normally would. And the Vikings always finish middle of the pack. It has never been changed in anything of getting a new head coach with that type of roster is going to set you back a little bit. Bears, finally, I feel like they are the worst team in the league. They got worse, like significantly worse in the offseason. You have a new head coach. I don't think they win more than 2 games. I could see this team going 0-17. I could also see this team only winning 1 game. And if they shock me, I think their ceiling is 4 wins. The team is just not good. Not good at all. Justin Fields is very promising, but with an O-line that's only giving him 0.3 seconds in the backfield, I don't know what to tell you. You only have Darnell Mooney as your wide receiver. You have nobody else. That defense sucks now. Roquan Smith really wants out. You lost Khalil Mack. I can go on and on. The Bears suck. Moving on to the NFC South, the Bucs are going to go in clear domination. Tom Brady's back for his final year. The wide receivers are insane. The defense is insanely good. The offensive line is insanely good. The Bucs finished 15-2. I don't think there's many things I need to talk about right there. Now, many expect the Saints to finish last in the division just due to the fact that they have no O-line or defense. But I think this team's going to finish in number 2. I think they're going to be a lot better than people think they will be. Jameson Winston, my apologies, is an above average QB, and adding Chris Olave, who was, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in college football last year, Michael Thomas coming back, this team's going to be a lot better than people think. Is Jameson Winston going to throw 35 picks this year? Of course, he always does. But is he also going to throw like 42 touchdowns? Of course he is. Why wouldn't he? With Alvin Kamara not being suspended, this team's going to be a 9-8 team, middle of the pack. If Alvin Kamara does get suspended, I think they only win, say, about 7 games. But still, that's going to lead them into the number 2 spot in the division. Still not making the playoffs. Falcons, I feel like, are going to be a lot much better than people think they are going to be this year. Marcus Mariota is not the answer, and I don't think Desmond Ridder is either. But when you have a speedster like Cordell Patterson in the backfield and you have 2 absolute powers of wide receiver and a tight end who are freakily athletic, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts, it gives you a little bit of advantage. We've seen with the Lions with Megatron. You can throw that thing down there. He's going above 3 people. And I'm not saying Drake London and Kyle Pitts are going to be like Megatron, but it helps out a lot when you have a player like that who can go over people and catch and still use the field to gain yards and win football games. Looking at the Panthers, though, I feel like Baker Mayfield is going to be good. He's going to be an above-average QB with this team, but the rest of the team's going to hurt. Losing Hassan Reddick was honestly the worst thing that they could have done in the offseason to the Eagles. But hey, what are you going to do about it? They lost him. CMC is going to be a big part of this offense. So is Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. I feel like it's going to be the offensive line and the defense is what really screws this team over. They have a lot of potential. I think Matt Rule is not the answer. They need to get a new head coach in there and draft pretty well. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I don't know who the QB is going to be after this year, as Matt Corral's out for the season, and Sam Darnold is also out for the first 5 weeks. It's going to be really, really interesting to see if they have a high pick next year and they get a quarterback. Move on for Baker Mayfield already and send him off to the backup spot. It's going to be interesting. Moving on to the NFC West, this is the second best division in football, in my opinion, with the only stinker being Seattle. I feel like the Rams go fully back to what they were. They are a playoff team, a Super Bowl team. They didn't lose. They lost Von Miller and OBJ. I feel like OBJ is going to come back. But Von Miller, it's going to be a big trouble. But when you have the best defensive player in football, maybe of all time, Aaron Donald, it really doesn't matter. You could literally probably put a high school Division I athlete at another defensive end spot, and he'll still get in the backfield to rush the quarterback just due to the fact of Aaron Donald takes 3 people up in the offensive line. With the addition of Bobby Wagner, that's absolutely huge. Rams finished 14-3. Now, this team, I feel like, is going to shock a lot of people. Trey Lance, if he can perform well, or if Jimmy G has to come back and perform well, this team's going to go 12-5. This defense got better. This offense got better. All around, this team is better. They were very, very injury prone last year. They're going to go fully healthy this year and beat the second spot in this division and win 12 football games. Number 3, I don't think the Cardinals are going to be good this year. I feel like their coach sucks. I feel like he should have got hired. I'm not a fan of Cliff Kingsbury. He runs a certain style of offense that I don't know really what it is and how it works, but I've been going 7-10. I don't like it. I don't like anything about this organization. Kyler Murray's focused on too much of a double XP weekends of Call of Duty. And you have a wide receiver that isn't going to come back till week 6 because he got caught using steroids. JJ Watt, I'm pretty sure I just heard that he's not going to be playing week 1 due to of an ankle injury. And that's just not going to start the year off well. 7 wins is my opinion is the ceiling for this team. I feel like this team could be so much worse. I don't like the Cardinals at all. Finally, finishing off right here, you have Seattle going 3-14. It's just the fact they don't have a quarterback or a defense or an offensive line, or, and a team. Kenneth Walker is probably going to be the best player on this football team at the end of the year. He is just an electrifying player. He came out of college at Michigan State. Mel Tucker developed him beautifully, and that he's going to be a great running back. DK Metcalf, I feel like he'll be gone after the season. Same thing with Tyler Lockett. The team's going to have to absolutely implode and rebuild. Maybe might see Pete Carroll retire after this year too. I just don't think Seattle's good at all. Moving on to the last division in this episode of predictions, I feel like the Eagles are one of the most underrated teams. They're going to go 3-14. They are another very, very well-rounded team. And adding C.J. Gardner on the defensive side of the ball at safety, this defensive secondary is good. And so is the pass rush. Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick rushing the QB. Come on. With the top off, maybe the best offensive line in the league. With 3 power horse running backs and a quarterback that can throw and run. Adding A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, plus a top tight end in the league, Dallas Goedert. Come on. They're one of my Super Bowl favorites to come out of the NFC. Spot 2, I feel like the Cowboys are going to be a little bit better than people think. Dallas had the ankle broken. Dak Prescott last year, which really, really put this team down. They're going to be better. They got Jason Peters a couple days ago. The offensive line's going to look a little bit better. They're old, but they're going to be better than a lot of people say. Michael Parsons is going to take even bigger of a lead in year 2. That's why I have them finishing 11-6. Spot 3, the Washington football team or the Commanders or whatever you want to call them. I don't even know what their name is anymore. They're going to go 3 spot in the NFC East. 5-11 is a good record. I don't think Carson Wentz is a good QB. I don't think he'll flourish. That's the wrong word. We're just going to use be good as the saying. I don't think he's going to be good in this offense. They have some wide receivers. They have an all right offensive line. They did lose Brandon Sheriff to the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason. The running backs kind of scare me a bit as they're all receiving. But the real big question is can this defense perform like they did 2 years ago? They were a top 5 defense in the league 2 years ago. Last year they stinked due to the fact of Chase Elliott not being there. Not Chase. That's a Matt. Chase Young. My apologies. Due to him not being there, he won't be there for the first 4 weeks. He's on first 6 weeks. He's on the NIL. Cannot perform due to injury. I still feel like they're going to finish 3rd in the division behind Dallas. Finally, the Giants, new head coach, new everything. It's just not going to be a good team. They have Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback, who is probably the most mid QB I've ever seen in my life. Kenny Galladay sucks. He sucks. He was a product of Matthew Stafford. They gave him way too much money. Behind that, they really don't have another wide receiver other than Kadarius Toney. They don't have a tight end anymore other than Akins. Their O-line sucks. I feel like Andrew Thomas is going to be a bust. Evan Neal, though, I feel like he's going to be a beast. Kayvon Thibodeau needs to show a lot of work on that defensive line for them to be even most competitive on defense. I feel like their defense sucks other than Adoree Jackson and Kayvon Thibodeau, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how all these teams base out. And I know I didn't make another slide for this, but on the other screen, I'm going to tell you who the wildcard teams are in the playoffs teams in both sides. So on the AFC, the Chiefs finish at the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed is the Buffalo Bills. The number 3 seed is the Baltimore Ravens. The number 4 seed is the Indianapolis Colts. Number 5 seed is the Los Angeles Chargers. 6 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. 7 is going to round off with the the Las Vegas Raiders. The number 1 seed in the NFC is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 2 is going to be the LA Rams. Number 3 is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4 is going to be the Green Bay Packers. Number 5 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Number 6 will be the Dallas Cowboys. And finally, finishing off the list as the 7th seed, your Detroit Lions get into the playoffs. Wow, that was fast, and that was a lot of teams to get through, but I'm very, very excited to be back here with Locker Room Media. We're going to be uploading weekly, whether that just be me, Lucas, your host, or some of the other guys in here. TikTok will be consistent postedly too, and same thing as Twitter. I feel like we're going to use that a lot much more than Instagram, so it'd be amazing if you followed us on everything. I'm going to have a link. There's our social medias in our YouTube bio and all that. It was great seeing you guys and talking sports with you again. I cannot wait to do it so much more now. And we will see you, and I will see you guys next week when we put out our, not our record predictions, but our probably another football video and put some news up on this one. See you guys next week.